Good morning, Robbie. Good morning, Charlie.
Morning.
Good morning.
Welcome, guys, to It's Just a Game of Two Halves, just a game of football for us, just us having a Sunday morning supplement, as they use. I used to like that when Jimmy Hill started that for Sky. Guys, it's been a bit of a strange week. There's quite a few things, as per usual with us. We start off with a 5-minute chat and end up round in for
Half an hour.
50 minutes. Yeah, I've got to start off with the Carabao Cup final. I went out last week and I watched the Carabao Cup, went down to a mate of mine. And most of the Arsenal fans were super confident. We're invincible. We're the best team in Europe at the moment. Like, we're going to be good. I watched the first half, and I suppose the first 20 minutes, I thought, like, the keeper, we'll talk about the keepers in a minute, both changing their keepers. I thought he played well, the City goalkeeper. For about 20 minutes, I thought Arsenal played the ball around their usual stuff, and it looked well. Last 25 minutes of the half, I thought it was 50-50, and it was fine. The second half started, and for me, City suddenly pushed their defence right up, which inadvertently pushed the Arsenal players all the way back. And the movement, I've said it before about football. If you can find space, space. If you find with movement gives you space, and with space gives you time. It's as easy as that. I used to say it to Charlie's team when they were little. The movement that Nico O'Reilly found between the lines, I just thought was amazing. And I don't think Arsenal had a clue what to do with the way City played. And at the end, do you know something? The two abject figures who I thought, I've got a lot of time for Declan Rice, obviously ex-West Ham. I thought they just looked lost. They just looked lost. And I'll tell you what, I don't know what you think's going to happen for the rest of the season with Arsenal, whether it'll knock their confidence. But they certainly didn't look the team we all thought and what the final we thought we was going to have. Charlie?
Yeah, kind of off. First half, I'd give it to Arsenal. I thought they were the better side. And I think, second half, it was all City pretty much. Arsenal had no answer. I think after the game, Guardiola said he wanted more dribbles from the wide players, to kind of push their fullbacks back. I actually thought that Ryan Cherky, for me, was kind of the man of the match. I understand why they gave it to O'Reilly, because he scored 2 goals with being a left back. But I thought that Cherky had a real good game and caused Arsenal a lot of problems, and he was kind of driving at them all the time. But yeah, they looked lost, Arsenal, in that second half. They had no answer. I think a lot of Arsenal fans wanted Arteta to react quicker to when they went 1-0 down. But it just didn't look like they was ever getting back in that game. And yeah, in the end, the best team won.
Robbie?
Yeah, I thought first half, I missed the first 15 minutes. I thought it was like a typical Arsenal. They were kind of controlling it, but without doing a great deal. But then when you've got your goalkeeper holding the ball for 38 seconds or whatever it was, and it's 0-0, it makes you think that the mentality is either negative or they're playing for a breakaway goal like a small team might in the FA Cup against someone. But the second half, it is just a game of two halves, because the second half was completely different. City played football in the second half. I felt that was the big difference. But once they got the goal, like Charlie said, they seemed to lack ideas of how to get around it, which I've seen with my own team this year. They don't know what to do. But Arsenal have got their system. But if City have worked that one out, other ones will. I do think they'll make it over the line for the Premier League, because they can still defend. They're not going to let a lot of goals in. But I think City play them next week or the week after. And that could be a real title decider. That could change everything.
I just thought they looked tired, Robbie. If you look at they got as a defence, and the keeper this year, I think he's got more Rayos, he's got more clean sheets than any other goalkeeper in history, in Premier League history. Now, I know they changed goalkeepers, but I thought even the defence, as we progress along this Champions League route, or whatever you want to call it, I do think they're going to get found out. And I just think maybe they've played too many games. Did they look tired? Did they run out of ideas? Or, as someone told me a while back, a Man United fan, Charlie, not you, he said they're boring their way to the Premier League. I don't suppose how you win it. It makes no difference to anybody, especially if you're an Arsenal fan. But I just thought the movement, if there was young kids watching it, if you see how you can move in football and find space, and it was just incredible. And just pushing up totally changed everything, because Arsenal then were pushed right back. Yeah. I mean, at one point I was counting 6 across the back. You know what I mean? I thought it really was, the master, as they say with Guardiola in The Apprentice. Now, there was a guy sitting outside this bar. I watched it, and I went down to Grand Alicante, which is the other side of Alicante Airport. And he was sitting with his missus. She was an Arsenal fan, some Arsenal fans there. And he weren't English. I don't know where he was from, right? But he went, what a waste of time. He went, in England, there's only the Premier League and the FA Cup that count. At the end of the game, when you see Guardiola like going nuts on that pitch, and we've had it off other people telling us that there's a League Cup, it's rubbish, no one plays it. Did you not see the elation in Guardiola, one of the most successful managers, probably along with Wenger and Ferguson in the history of the Premier League? I think that's the 8th or 9th time they've won that League Cup. Did that look like to you it was nothing to them, Robbie? Did it look like it?
Oh, it's a trophy. That's the whole reason for playing the game at the beginning, isn't it? You start in August with possibility of winning 4 trophies, so he's got to go for them. And I do. I think it's still a cup final. You're still winning a trophy at Wembley. I know it's that we've spoken before. Oh, if you lose, it's the League Cup. It's not. It's a trophy, and you want to win it. You can see the fans, enjoying it, and they've won it. And he should be happy with it because he changed the game around, and that's what managers should be able to do. He's obviously gone in at half time, probably given a few people an earful, and changed the system a bit, and then it's a totally different game. So that's his job. But he's got to be
if you looked at him personally, Robbie, when them goals went in, it was similar to them winning the Champions League, winning the Premier League. That year when I think Mancini was manager, then when Aguero scored right at the end. But it was just so much elation and really. And we've all said we think something's up with Guardiola. We know he's separated from his wife. Is it family problems? Do they not want to live where they are no more? Yeah. Is he got problems? There's definitely something wrong. But for a man of his stature to be dancing around and running up the line, doing a Mourinho, really, in the League Cup final, I think it just goes to show you that the people that say the League Cup is a load of rubbish, no, you're wrong. Yeah. You are wrong. Charlie?
It's just fans just once again coping with the whole, like we said before, it's a trophy when you win it, and the moment you lose in the final or get knocked out, well, no one wants to win it anyway. If Arsenal would have won that trophy, Arsenal fans would have been like, this is going to be the catalyst to kick us on for the rest of the season. And then the moment they lose, it's, the league's the one we're more concerned about anyway. Who cares about the League Cup? It's just a coping mechanism. That's all it is with fans that don't win the League Cup. So to you, it's a trophy. The moment you lose, you'll find a way to demean it. Same with the FA Cup. People are like, it's not the trophy it once was. It's just a way of just coping with getting knocked out, isn't it?
Forevermore in history, Charlie, that name's on that cup. No one remembers the losers. Who lost the cup 5 years ago? You don't, but you'll always remember the League. I thought it was a fascinating game. I was a bit of a neutral, really, because I was there for the West Ham game, which was on just beforehand, really, but I stayed there to watch it. It was I almost felt relieved for Guardiola. It's really weird. Although I sort of, I thought I'm not really bothered who wins it. I just felt a bit of relief for him as a person. I don't know whether he's getting a lot of pressure. I want to come back to manager. I feel fascinating podcast from Hans Postecoglou this week. Bits of it funny, bits of it was quite sad, really, when you listen to it. But I think the relief and everything was just fantastic for Guardiola and for me. It just shows that the cups in wherever you are. Southend got through to the cup yesterday, didn't they? The FA Vase Trophy, I think it is. One of them got through, and for their fans, it's a great day out. Now, talking of cups, by the way, because we do this, I keep telling you, people are always sending me stuff now. I never want to come on. We got let down again this morning. People coming on, and someone went, "Oh, you boys, you missed a trick. Like you didn't mention it." And I went, "We didn't mention what?" Like he went, "What went on with the AFCON?" And I've got to be honest, it passed me by. I don't watch mainstream TV anymore, right? I don't watch any of it, So normally I'm watching YouTube or music blasts around my house all day. Tried some of that, I love my music. And apparently, Charlie, take it away. Tell us what happened.
Well, basically, how long ago was the Africa Cup of Nations?
A month ago, wasn't it?
February, yeah.
So it kind of came out that
it was the final, wasn't it?
It was the final. It was a dodgy penalty that they
conceded. Senegal and Morocco we're talking about, aren't we, Charlie? Yeah.
Yeah, Senegal, Morocco, and so the Senegalese players left the pitch for like a good 15, 20 minutes. Anyway, obviously, the bloke ended up missing the penalty. Senegal went on to win it. that was that. There was a bit of a drama as to what, kind of what went on and everything. But yeah, kind of came out a couple of weeks that they've been stripped of the title and it was handed to Morocco because basically in the rules, if you leave the pitch for a certain amount of time, then you are classed as forfeiting the game. And that's why.
Who runs the? Who's in? Is it still FIFA in charge of that, Charlie? Who runs?
No, it's Africa's version. It's their tournament in it. So I think is it CAFCON? I'm not entirely
CAF,
sure.
I think, or CAS. I can't remember.
CAFCON, CAFCON.
So it's their rules then. So they're coming to what their rules.
Yeah,
it's because they've left the pitch without, like, they've refused to play. And the referee hasn't ordered them off the pitch. But I'm just curious, my thing, because I read that the other day, I was like, hang on, this is nuts. This was ages ago. Why wasn't that done at the time?
Yeah, that's what I thought, yeah.
You see?
Well, yeah.
So
would you have been the referee there, Robbie, though, if you'd have called it off?
I bet he was worried about it. But the thing is, I mean, I didn't watch the game, so I can't comment how bad the penalty was, if it was. But this happens. We moan every week about this. If it goes against you, obviously, you're going to moan about it. But they have literally just stormed off the pitch. Now, we've seen people leaving the pitch because a referee has told them because some idiot in the crowd is shouting something racist or whatever. England had it a couple of years ago, didn't they? Playing Hungary, I think. But the referee's in charge. So technically, they have forfeited the game by walking off. It's just, if that was in a lower league, you probably wouldn't even hear about it. Because that's in a major final. I know it's not so big in Europe, obviously, but it is a major final. It's the equivalent to the Euros. So it is controversial. I've never heard anything like that in such a big game before.
No, I agree. I mean, I can't remember the name of him now. In '66, in the World Cup final, one of the Argentinas, Alf Ramsey described them as animals, didn't he? And one of them sat down and refused to go off when he got sent off, didn't he? He just sat down for ages.
Well, there was I think it was another World Cup, wasn't it? A team walked off. I can't remember. I'm pretty sure it was a World Cup in the 80s. Pretty sure it was a team from Asia. They ended up walking off. I think
that the managers, they're sort of run though by like people, like a lot of the Qatar, the Iran, and all them. They're sort of run by like people in the military, aren't they? And if they go right off, like you do a runner. I mean, when the women's one was on a while back in Canada, I think 5 or 6 of the Iranian women, they'd done a runner and want to stay there as political refugees in Canada. Talking about the World Cup, by the way, if there was ever something that I'm going to talk about farcical, I mean, my opinion, with everything that's going on, I've said it and said it and said it. We don't need to go over it. My personal opinion is we shouldn't go. I mean, I don't think it's going to matter soon because the price of tickets is skyrocketed. The price of jet fuel has skyrocketed. Just for people to get there is going to be ridiculous. I've never known anything go on with someone that's so unpopular all around the world at the moment. So can they change it? Obviously, Europe could host it, but it's like Charlie said to me yesterday, is it really fair on the people of Mexico, great football nation, and the people of Canada to take it away? But it is becoming a farce for me, and nothing more farcical. Now, when I watched the playoffs over the week, I was sort of hoping to see Wales and the Irish teams try and get somewhere. And unfortunately, they was unlucky, weren't they? Because they scored early on and they lost that near the end. But how can a team, right, that finishes bottom of their group, right, in World Cup qualifying with 2 points, get to a playoff final, and Robbie's already laughing, and then who they got in the week, Charlie? Who they got?
They got Poland.
They play Poland.
Sweden, Poland, where Robbie is. How can you possibly be allowed to get in a playoff game when you finish with 2 points at the bottom of your group? Is it just rubbish, or should they just pick and get away with all the qualifying and go, right, you're the ones we want in there. You're the ones with the best fans that are going to bring a load of fans. You're supposedly higher up in the rankings. How on earth, Charlie, is that allowed that they've made a playoff space, bottom of their group?
I mean, this UEFA Nations League, they was getting a bit sick of like friendlies, wasn't they? Too many international friendlies. People were moaning about it. So then they decided to bring up this UEFA Nations League idea, which is just competitive friendlies, really, in a way. But basically, because Sweden topped their group in the 24-25 Nations League, They kind of got given.
That's got nothing to do with the World Cup, Charlie.
Yeah, but because that kind of gives you almost an extra life, as you will. If you get, they finished bottom of their World Cup group. They didn't even win a game. And so, because of how well they done in the Nations League, that's how they got a chance for this playoff thing. I don't agree with it at all. It kind of demeans the whole point of a World Cup qualifying group to begin with, because you don't even have to try. You can be like, well, if we get through, we get through. But if we don't, we'll have to play a few more games. I don't agree with it at all. But again, this is like UEFA's way of making that UEFA Nations League more competitive and teams to make it more seriously.
Robbie?
I think it's farcical. I think it's like if it was a Champions League and I don't know, a big English club or one of the Spanish boys weren't in it, they would find a way because there's money involved. I also think it's unfair on I don't know what teams are in their group. Say, for example, it was someone that's not so, let's say, trendy. We saw Kosovo go close the other day and Wales there, Northern Ireland. There was a lot of them, but they've played for that, and that, that's how football goes. But some other team has missed out because of that. Yeah. And to be given a chance, I think it's farcical, and it's a big thing for me for protecting the big boys as such. Yeah, they want more European nations. I do understand this World Cup is going to be quite ridiculous, let alone with what's going on and the games that will be stopped because there's a big scary cloud coming and stuff like that. You've got extra teams in there. No disrespect for them, but really, they're going to get hammered in pretty much.
Yeah, I agree.
It's another game where you could pick up an injury. It doesn't make a lot of sense. I think that the qualifying should be fair. There should be less teams, not more, because it will end up being, you will see in this World Cup, when teams say like Argentina, Germany, England, if they're coming up against one of these tiny island teams, they're putting the second squad out. They're not going to take it seriously. So I think the whole thing is farcical with it.
Yeah, it don't make no sense to me. It seems a bit like the expansion of the Champions League, and you play and you could lose. And I mean, last year you could drop down into the Europe. You always call it the UEFA Cup, whatever you want to call it. And it's just why not just? I just don't understand it. And I mean, whoever's making these rules for football, it's not a good rule, And it's like you said, other people in the group. It's just becoming pathetic, and people are going to get turned off by. I mean, how many games is there in this World Cup? I think there's over 100 games, isn't there?
I think it's, yeah.
It's
extra teams. See, I haven't looked at them all, but a lot of them won't watch because it'll be 3 o'clock in the morning.
I mean, normally there's 8 games in a World Cup. Is that right? Normally?
Overall.
Yeah. The thing is, like, look, we all kind of want to see the best players there and, kind of best footballing countries. I get that, but it's always a kind of a nice shock, isn't it? Do you remember when Ireland kind of knocked Netherlands out in the group stages, and Ireland qualified, and it was such a massive thing that, Holland are not going to a World Cup. Italy, not been in a World Cup, since Brazil, and they even this year, you go to South America, like Chile are always in the World Cup, and they're not in the World Cup this year. So it's always, and kind of you think, oh my God, like big team's not going to be there this year. But yeah, I feel like you're right. It's another way so if a big team it goes wrong for them, it's another chance to get in it.
There's 104 games. I've just looked it up. 104 games there, please. Exactly. And now listen, these are the same people, and the FIFA players are playing too much. Your lot, Robbie, they hardly got any. They had to play that World Cup thing that Trump ended up nicking the trophy when you won it, when you beat PSG, didn't it? And they had no break. And now you have this silly Nations League. And you go on about the League Cup being ridiculous. Mm-hmm. The Nations League, who watches it? I mean, I've got to be honest. I went to look at the England game, and I didn't watch it in the end. Like, I looked at it; it was an appalling game. Who I've spoke to, but like, he's not playing any youngsters. We spoke about this earlier on. It really is a nothing game. He knows who's going. Who he wants to go. What's the point of risking injury? What's the point of players travelling? Bowen, for instance. For God knows how long now, West Ham, he's been travelling with the England squad, and they don't rate him. So I understand that. Someone wants a player in, you want him. If you don't like him, you don't play him. We had a goalkeeper years ago called Phil Parks, And he was going and going and going and going away with England, never ever getting a game. He was He looked like this porn star. He had this great big blonde hair, not that I've ever watched any of them
I
films.
don't know what you're watching, but
And in the end, he went up to the manager, and at the time, it was when they was alternating Peter Shilton and Ray Clements. Whoever was the manager, they just kept alternating them because they couldn't decide who was the bet. And he went, "Look, am I going to get a game?" He went, "I'm going away for 4 to 5 weeks at a time, not seeing me wife and kids. And you're not picking me. Are you going to pick me, yes or no?" And they went, "Well, not unless them two get." He went, "Well, I'm not going then. I'll pull out." And that is, for me, that is the reason. And if I was Bowen, what's the point? I mean, is it, if you was a football player, would you really be that bothered about playing for England, Charlie?
I think, yeah. I mean, you always want to play for your country, don't you? I mean, it's kind of what, when you're a kid, you grow up wanting to play for your country, especially in a World Cup or a Euros. But, I know I think Carragher got a bit fed up with it, didn't he? In the end, he was kind of never really a main starter, and in the end, he got a bit fed up and decided to kind of pull out. You do get it in terms of players that are constantly picked but never played. But I mean, at this point, yeah, might as well just try a few players that on the cusp of getting it, and going from there. Yeah.
Okay, we'll try a few players, but I was thinking try your system out. What's the point of playing Harry Kane in that game the other day? Because as we said, if he gets injured, England will struggle, will get out of the group, and that will be it. It's another game. You know what he can do. I understand he might want to play with a midfield a bit, or try at left back or right back or whatever. And players are injured at the minute. I just think I'd never watch the friendlies because I think they're pointless. There's no real intensity in the game because half of those players will be thinking, "Hang on, I've got a game next week." You're talking about, I know, in a Premier League game, you go, "Well, that's more important than a friendly." So I think it's difficult, but that would give you some youngsters or some fringe players a chance to shine, because it's also, I think, it's a mental thing. How does someone like Bowen, you stick him on at Wembley from the beginning? Does he control the game? Does he play well? Is the occasion difficult? You're never going to know any of this until you play him.
Yeah, I just think it's farcical, Robbie. He took 35 players. He can only take 25 to the World Cup. He's took 10. They weren't even going to get a sniff. You're going to get the surprise, like we spoke off air, when for some unknown reason, Sven-Goran Eriksson pulled Theo Walcott into the team on the advice of Arsene Wenger. Like Charlie said, he dropped Jermaine Defoe. What a waste of time. I mean, Paul Scholes stopped playing, Charlie, because Sven-Goran Eriksson wanted to play him on the left. And he went, "I'm not playing as a left winger. I want to play as a 10. I'll play as an 8 in the middle. But you're not sticking me out on the left. And if you're going to keep playing me, then I'll retire from international football." And that's what he did. And I don't blame people for doing it. I think it's just become a bit farcical. And Robbie, just yes or no, we won't go over this because we still go to the World Cup.
Yeah, you got to go. Got to watch it. I'm not watching 104 games.
No, but with all the problems that are going on.
Well, I think it shouldn't have been there in the first place, was my opinion. I think the whole thing, I get Canada having a go. Mexico is a football nation. I've got friends there. That will be great there. I would worry about it politically, and I'd worry about half of the fans probably getting arrested in America. And the farcical, if the clouds come like the thing Chelsea won last year, you can't have games delayed for 2 hours. So, it's just ridiculous. I understand if there was extreme weather, but not on the threat of something. You'll have games here lasting 2-3 hours like they did in the summer, and it just becomes farcical.
I agree. Charlie, we still go. You love the World Cup and you think we should go, didn't you?
Yeah, I mean, I always love tournaments, especially World Cups and stuff. I watch as most games as possible. Some of them I won't be, obviously. I won't be watching Scotland Haiti at 2 a.m. because, I'll have work the next day. But yeah, I do still think we should go. It's about football and we should keep it about football as much as possible.
Yeah, I agree. There's a load of fans now saying like it's just pricing them out of going. And apparently you had to pay to ask for a ticket. So there's people already paid so they can go. Yeah, they can go in the lottery. I watched. I know you like this. A lot of managers that gets laid off, they obviously get paid, and I understand that. And I watched this Ange Postecoglou podcast in the week, and I actually felt sorry for him on that game where he didn't win no games. Did he? I think he had 6 losses and 3 draws at Forest, and that I don't know his name, the Greek bloke. He said he walked off after the game, and when he walked off and walked down the tunnel, all the press and everyone around there knew that he was sacked. He said he hadn't been told anything. No one had come up to him and said he was sacked. He said he went in now. In any form of life or way of life, I do think there's a way of dealing with someone. And I think the first person that should tell you, the bloke that hired you, should really have the spine to pull you in and go, look, for the goodness of the team, thank you for your efforts, etc., etc. He walked away with 7 million when he got laid off at Spurs, so they get the money. And then so basically, if I hired you, Robbie, I should have the courage to fire you face to face and go, look, this is the reason I'm doing it. It's nothing personal. I just want to keep the team in the Prem. There's your payoff, bosh. Now he spoke with some of the car park people and police, and he says, look, I want to get away from me. He said, I was just so abject. I felt awful. He said, and they went, look, we'll try and make you a path, get you away, blah, blah, blah. He said he got in his car and he got about 15 minutes down the road and he got stuck in a traffic jam. And he said the Chelsea fans in their cars was giving it to him large out the window. Like everyone knew. He said it was all over the radio. He's like, who leaked it all? We don't know. He said, and worse than that, there was a lot of Forest fans giving him the same jip out the car window. He said, and because it was a traffic jam, then suddenly kids turned up with their phones and went, can I have a selfie? He went, and I'm having to smile and give selfies. I'll tell you what, when I listened to the end of that podcast, I thought, what a way to treat someone. Like, I just think it was so poor, and for someone to want to go in, they get paid the big bucks. What I'm trying to get at, Charlie, they get paid the big bucks. So do they have to put their big boy pants on and just accept the way it is? Or do you think there is ways and means? And if you are going to get sacked, no one else should know apart from when the chairman tells you when it's finished.
I mean, look, if you're not wanted, no matter what job you are or what you're doing, you should be the first person to be told for whatever reason. I'll stand by that till the day I die. Look, we understand that football's quite tribal and there's a lot of banter that goes on in it. But at the end of the day, we're all people. We all have feelings and everything else, don't we? It's bound to hit him. Yeah, sure, he's probably got a nice payoff for it and stuff, but that don't mean it didn't hurt, and that don't mean he was feeling like absolute crap at the time because he wanted to do well there. Can it go too far sometimes? Yeah. Should they put up with it? I think there's probably a time and a place.
Yeah, I agree. Robbie?
It's quite difficult, isn't it? Because I get straight after a game. I mean, there's going to be banter. There should be some respect shown to whoever's getting the sack. He knew it was coming. He must have known it was coming. The results were terrible. It didn't work out for whatever reason. Probably the wrong appointment in the first place. But then that Forest chairman is a lunatic anyway. So you don't know. But I do think there should have been a bit of dignity and respect shown to him. Maybe he would have slipped out the back door or waited an hour. Probably wouldn't have left right then. I think they should have. I think you should just show a bit of respect because the next manager that goes in there, well, I know this one, he's already going to have the preconception of, well, I know this owner's going to be a bit of a knob, regardless of what happens. So they start maybe less motivated. Maybe they start thinking he can sack me in 3 months and I'll take the money. But the club is affected and the fans end up suffering for it.
Yeah, I agree. At the end of the day, Robbie, we're all human, aren't we? No matter how we all know how we feel if something goes wrong, and it's basically being told you're rubbish, ain't you? Good at your job. I mean, the Celtic fans would have him back up there, right? They loved him. They loved him the way he was. I mean, even at Spurs, if you speak to anyone at Spurs around the club, they all loved him in the club. All the staff loved Postecoglou, and I told you before that was one of the reasons it didn't work out with Thomas Frank. I just had myself. I thought, God, I feel for you. You know what I mean? Like having to sit in your car and the Chelsea fans giving you it, and then you turn around and your own fans are giving you it, and then. But at least he had the courage when kids was coming up with their mobile. He could have done a Jamie Carragher and spat in their face and told them to do one, but he didn't. He had the photos done. It just was fascinating. If I can find a podcast, boys, what I watched, I'll send it to you. If you've got any ideas, by the way, out there, what you think we should cover, what teams we should cover, certainly if you want to come on. I spoke to a guy when I was out last night who was a Falkirk fan, and he said he wants to come. I said, you feel free. Let us know when you're available and come on and talk about your team. I did a little bit now and again. I do for West Ham channel, as you can tell. And the the relegation running. And now I don't think with a couple of West Ham fans, right? So I don't think they was ever gonna make West Ham go down when they predicted their results. Now I'm gonna do a disclaimer here, right? When Robbie says that Spurs are going to lose their remaining 7 games, that's not the opinion of me and Charlie, by the way, right? It's just, do you know, Robbie, if it comes to that game where they got to play you to see if they stay up or not, like, I don't think you're going to be able to contain your excitement.
There'll be street parties. I'm telling you, that's bad. Though, as a fan,
that's... just as a bit of fun, yeah. Now, obviously, I'll tell you how I did it at the end, yeah, and at the moment, Leeds are on 33 points. Right now, do we both agree that Burnley and Wolves have gone?
Yes,
yeah, definitely.
Right. So if we just do Leeds, and if you can put your scores and if you've got a pen and just tally up what points, and we're at it at the end, or if you haven't got a pen, tell me and I'll add it up for you. Right, Charlie. Leeds remaining 7 games. I had Leeds to stay up. Right. So they start off with Man United away. Just win, lose, or draw for Leeds, Robbie.
Oh, Man United away. The points. No, I think United away. I think I don't see them getting anything from that game, to be honest.
Right, Wolves at home. We'd go all through you.
I've got to look them. They'll beat Wolves at home.
That's 3 points. Bournemouth away.
That one. Wow, that's a tricky one. I don't think they get anything out of that fun. Bournemouth are funny.
3. Burnley at home.
They'll beat Burnley.
That gives them 6. Tottenham away. What a waste of time asking you this one.
They'll get a point there.
Yeah. 7. Brighton at home.
That would depend on how close they are to survival, or if they've survived. But that's the sort of game they could. I think they'd get a draw if they needed it.
That gives them 8. And Charlie, West Ham away. Oh, sorry, Robbie, West Ham away.
West Ham away. I'm going for West Ham on that day because if Leeds are safe, they'll be more relaxed.
Yeah, well, that means you give them 41, Robbie, which I think stay up. Charlie, the same with you. How did you give it up? Man United away.
Yeah, they'll lose to United. They'll beat
Wolves at home. 3. Bournemouth.
Bournemouth, I think they'll get a point.
4. Burnley at home.
Burnley, they'll win.
7. Tottenham away.
Point.
8. Brighton at home.
I think they'll win.
11. And West Ham away.
I think they'll lose that one.
You give them up. You got up to 40 points. So I both think that we all think really that Leeds are safe. I when I did mine, I give them 9 to 10 points. So I thought, yeah, I did. I really thought they were. Charlie, we'll start off with you with Forest then. Forest running is Villa, Burnley, Sunderland, Chelsea, Newcastle, Man U, and Bournemouth. It's quite funny. That's quite a hard running, isn't it?
It is. They've got, 3 teams that are challenging for the top 4 there. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So who are you going for? Villa at home, Charlie?
I'll give them a point.
Burnley at home?
I think they'll win.
For Sunderland away?
I think they'll lose.
Chelsea away?
Lose.
Newcastle at home?
I think they'll get a point.
5. Man United away?
If Man United still are in the top 4 race, I'll just give it go United for now.
And Bournemouth at home?
Win.
You're giving them 7. You put them on to 39. Robbie?
I've got 7. I'll tell you now. I've got the 3 points against Burnley and Bournemouth and a point against Newcastle.
You put them on 39.
However, Chelsea will probably gift them a point as well, so they might get an extra one.
You don't know. Right, Charlie, I'm not going to listen to him for the next one. You're going first again. Because it's a complete and utter waste of time, and it's going to look like a Welsh town, and all them hills.
I was certain he was going to go to Robbie first.
I can't because I've got to keep a straight face, haven't I, for the next 10 minutes and be neutral.
I can give you correct scores and all.
Oh, don't.
Charlie, Sunderland away, Tottenham.
I'm basing this off all current form. They'll lose.
Okay, but Brighton at home.
They'll win.
3 points. Wolves away.
They'll win.
6. Villa away.
Lose.
Leeds at home.
Point.
7. Chelsea away.
Lose.
And Everton at home.
lose.
So what did you give them? 6 or 7? Was that 6 or 7?
I think I've given 37 points.
37. Yeah, you have 37. Right.
You're
Are we
right.
just going to say that Spurs are staying on 30 points then, Robbie? We're going to skip yours, or right, Robbie? Sunderland away.
Right, they'll lose that. Right,
Right at home.
That depends if they've got a new manager at the time, because I think that could happen. If they get a new manager, maybe a point.
All right, you're giving them a point. 1.
Yeah. I think
Wolves away.
I think they'll beat Wolves, funnily enough, unless the
4.
mood is really bad.
Villa away.
Villa beat them.
Leeds at home.
That's the one I think will be a draw.
5. Chelsea away.
8-0, hopefully.
And Everton at home.
And I think the Everton game is the tricky one. If they're about to be relegated, I don't see Everton losing that, because I'll go a point in that maximum.
What did you give them? What did you tell you? Don't forget, Everton have got a good chance of European football now, Robbie.
Yeah, I just think they would go there and not to lose. I gave them 5 points. I was looking
5,
at
which would take them on to 35.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully I'm wrong and it's 2, but yeah.
Right, boys. I'm not going to do this one. So far, I've nigh on agreed with everything you guys have said in my scores. Robbie, we'll go with you then. Wolves, West Ham.
Right.
West Ham got Wolves at home.
It's a tricky one. I think you beat them, but you need to score a lot of goals in it.
There's no goals in the West Ham team. Robbie, Crystal Palace away, Robbie.
Well, I think you nick a draw there, because they're in this Conference League and they'll be concentrating on that.
4. Everton at home.
I also think that can be a draw. Funny team, Everton, and you're at home.
5. I can't see us beating them. Brentford away.
Right, that's the tricky one, because it's one of them. You're either going to get smashed to bits or not. I've gone Brentford to win that. I think
Arsenal at home.
Probably lose that and all, but that's could be London derby, but I think you lose that.
Newcastle away.
That's lost. I can't see it getting any.
And Leeds at home.
I've got the last one, a draw, unless Leeds are completely safe.
So how many points did you give West Ham?
I've got 35, and it's the same, isn't it? Really, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Charlie, let's go for it with you then. West Ham Wolves.
Wolves. I think West Ham will win. I then think they'll get a draw against Palace and Everton.
So that'd be 5. Brentford away.
I think they'll lose their next 2 to Brentford and Arsenal.
Newcastle away.
I think they'll beat Newcastle. I think they'll beat Leeds.
Oh, you're giving them 11 points nearly.
I'm going for you. Yeah, I hope he's right.
It's just the thing is, teams like Brentford, Palace, Bournemouth, Brighton, they won't have much to play for, but they maybe an outside chance here. But one week you think they're going to get beat, and then the next, and then they go and put in a great performance and end up winning 2-0. They're just really odd sides, aren't they, this year? And this league has already thrown up a lot of weird results already. We'll look back at this at the end of the season and probably got none of it right whatsoever. But
I would say look at it again in about 2 or 3 weeks, because that will affect the rest of them. The mood.
It's just you can't see Spurs winning another game. Like the thing is, the Liverpool game, you kind of looked at it and you thought, all right, they played well, but Liverpool have been poor most of this season. Mm-hmm. And the way they got beat by Forest, you're just looking at it going, I can't see where the next point's coming from.
Especially if
I agree. I think it's going to be tight. I actually think it's going to go down to the last game, and I think nerves will come into it. I also think injuries will come into it. I mean, if I was going to jump, Robbie, we go on about this Igor Tudors. We won't even tell you the name of the bloke that Tottenham have been looking at this week, because Robbie won't stop laughing for the next week.
There's too many jokes.
But I think it goes down to the end. I do. I really think it goes down to the wire, and nerves, injury. I think you're going to still see surprise results, but deep down, a lot of people say to me, no, like Leeds and Forest ain't out of it. I can see Leeds getting that 9-10 points they need. Yeah. I just cannot see Leeds getting drawn into it. Forest are still in Europe, but then they won in their Europe the other day. Yeah. So it'd be fascinating. Charlie, did you look at the lower leagues? How did it go this week with the lower leagues? Did you say that
League One was quite Barrow beat Bromley who were top of the league, and Barrow were bottom at the time. That was a massive result in League One. Salford beat MK Dons, which has now left the top of that league. There's 9 points between first and sixth, with I think about 6 games to go. So that's going to be interesting. And it kind of opens up for the relegation for the bottom of the league, because Blackpool ended up getting quite a late winner, which has ended there, which has done great for them. Leyton Orient and Exeter got a point each. So it's all really tight down there as well, especially League One.
Yeah, I agree. I'll tell you what I did see this week, and I think they should have got rid of this guy when he wrote that letter that he don't think he'd been treated well, even though he's on £500,000 a week this week. That Mo Salah says he's basically gonna leave at the end of the season. And do you think when he wrote that letter to the club and released it to the press saying he thought he'd been disrespected and he weren't getting played enough, he should be the first name on the pitch? Do you think it ruins his legacy at Liverpool, Charlie, or do you think he's had a good career? I always say when they played that European final against Madrid, weren't it? That Sergio Ramos, he threw him down and dislocated his shoulder. That was a judo throw. If you've ever done judo, it was actually a judo move. And how he never got sent off, Ramos, I don't know. But he always used to cut in, didn't he? He'd go down the right wing and cut in and bang it with his left leg. And I can't remember the last decent game I've actually seen him play when he looked the best player on the pitch. Premier League legend, Charlie, should he be remembered as a great player? Or did he ruin his legacy?
Yeah, it definitely will be. I mean, look, when Liverpool signed him from Roma, I don't think anyone thought he was going to do what he actually did, considering it didn't really work out for him at Chelsea. Yeah, he'll go down as a Premier League legend. He's been great, no doubt. I actually do think he's been treated poorly by Liverpool.
Why do you think he's been treated poorly, Charlie?
Just because of the way they've gone about it. I mean, I know his form hasn't been great, but I don't know. I think it's more Arne Slot that's treated him quite badly. I wouldn't say the club as a whole, unless there's things have gone on in the background that we're not quite sure of. And, there's not been like a major falling out, like when Roy Keane left United, there was obviously this big bust up between him and Ferguson, and you kind of, it was both sides thing. But from this point, from what's come out, it's kind of just been, Arne Slot treating him not very nicely, really.
Yeah, but if Arne Slot wants to change his system, Joel, and doesn't want to play the clock ball, I've told you about clock ball. I mean, yeah, look, they won the league, and would there have been a team I'd have gone and watched that year? No, it wouldn't, because
I think that's fine.
Yeah,
but I do think we've got to blame a little bit for Liverpool's poor form. I think they tried to blame Salah for some of it.
Yeah,
and,
but Charlie,
none of them
if someone
well.
comes in and we've said about systems and managers with systems and it not working, we had all this with bloody West Ham, Lopetegui coming in and he changed the system from Moyes and Potter come in, who could be going to the World Cup with Sweden. I forgot to put that one in, couldn't I? He's got the sack from his last 2 jobs, and now he could be going to the World Cup.
They love him in Sweden.
I think if your form has dipped, and I've said it about influences around the club, some players, they become too big for their own egos, and they suddenly think, right, I'm the star man, I'm this, I'm that. And if a manager comes in and sees they're not doing the right thing, especially with the youngsters around the club, we could go back to Mourinho at Man United when he wanted 3 players out, and the board wouldn't let him do it. They went, no, Pogba started having an effect on the younger players, and they got rid of him. What a waste of a career he's had. And earned loads of money, but who will remember Paul Pogba for his football? And but I just think, Charlie, Salah, he was.
But then we go back to Postecoglou and how it was done. We don't know how this is done. If you're continuously dropping him, and they're not even putting him in the squad, and you're not even sitting him down and telling him why, and then saying things in the media or not saying things, that's not the right way to go about it. If you actually sat down with him and went, look, I want to try something new. You've been out of form. I want this. If he sat down and give the reason, that's fine. But it doesn't come across like they've done it that way. It just feels like they've just dropped him, and he's just not.
Have you got more empathy for the players then, Charlie, than you had for Postecoglou? Are you saying you feel for Salah and not as much as you're feeling for Postecoglou?
I feel for Postecoglou because he wasn't told and everyone else knew. That's how I feel for Postecoglou. But it's a results business, and he weren't doing it. But with Salah, I feel like, like us, if we're getting the blame for everything at work, and when our boss ain't telling us why, we want to know why. We're going to be like, well, what's going on here? Surely that applies to the players as well.
But you go on. I got my opinion of this. Shoot, so yours.
Yeah, it's difficult because without him, they wouldn't have won the titles they won. That's a fact, isn't it?
Robbie, there's 11 players in the team.
I know that, but he made a massive difference. That first title, whatever it was in 30 odd years or whatever, the COVID title, that I know people don't count it, but he made a massive difference to them. I think, and I don't know much, I don't really follow Liverpool, obviously I'm not keen on them, but I think some of this happened when it was a couple of years ago and it was a contract issue and clubs wanted to buy him, particularly in the Arab League. And there was a lot of money offered on the table. So the club must have convinced him to stay.
Robbie's on £500,000 a week.
Yeah, but they must have convinced him to stay. But obviously the money helps, doesn't it? But the formers dip, they should have just sold him when he wanted to go. Or even the beginning of this season when it's not going to work out, sell him and still get some money back. And they haven't. But one thing, usually when a player that's done a lot at a club, when he leaves, there's usually some chairman or someone comes out and says something, like, we're really sad to see you leave or whatever, and nothing's happened. So something's happened behind the doors. Maybe it's with him and the manager or someone else at the club you don't know. Clearly they've fallen out. But I think then as a player, if you were the owner of a club, you know what, let's get some money for him because he's going to walk away from it. They probably still, what is he? He's only early 30s. They could probably still sell him.
Around about 30, yeah.
Probably still sell him for 20, 30 million.
Do you know, Robbie, I think every player has their sell-by date, right? And yeah, maybe they haven't told him the right way, Charlie, but you don't go throwing your dummy out the pram when you're earning that sort of money. I listened to a podcast with Tony Cascarino. In 92, he was on £6,000 a week at Chelsea, and he was looking around and wanting to earn a little bit more money as he was getting older, and they sold him to Marseille, and he went on to £12,000 a week. What are we talking? Yeah, I know. We're talking like, what is it? Around about 30 years ago. You know what I mean? And the money they're on now. Tony Cass, £6,000 a week still now is a lot of money, Robbie. £12,000 a week is a lot of money. No, but I just think with Salah, I think he was the big man. He was a star player at Liverpool. As they started bringing other players in, he didn't like it. Suddenly the game didn't revolve around him. The balls, we said about the balls. I thought, you talk about selling people. I thought when Tottenham sold Harry Kane to Bayern Munich, I thought he pulled their pants down. Levy getting 100 million to rear. How wrong was I? And maybe, Liverpool should have done the same with Salah. But you have a lifespan. Bill Shankly said years ago, no matter what we win, when Liverpool was winning anything, at the end of this season, I'll be bringing in 2 players who will make this team better. And if it means me getting rid of who you think is one of my better players, so be it. I don't care because I'm going to do it for the improvement of the team. And it's always about the team. And for me, I think Salah is just thrown his dummy out the pram. And you should always remember the people that come to watch. If you remember, we had that Leeds fan on a couple of weeks ago, and he said Bielsa took the boys down the street and he says, right, you're going to pick rubbish up. You're going to clean parks up for 2 days. And I went, why are we doing that? He went, you're going to learn what the fans have to do to pay for a ticket to come and see you. So remember the people that's come and see you. For me as a Liverpool fan, I say thanks for the memory, Salah. But the team goes on, always goes on. It's like when people, I get abuse all week about West Ham going down. Will it make a difference to me? Will I still be a West Ham fan? I think West Ham will be in serious trouble. I really do, because we'll talk about finances another time. But your team's your team, isn't it? You're born into it. That's your team who you support. Charlie's been through some bad times with Man United. We won't speak about Spurs fans because I think there'll be some gallows around where their ground is. Boys, amazing week again. Somehow or other, we've got 50 minutes, even though we had it's so strange with football, isn't it? Because we start talking about one thing and it just leads in to other things. But do you still think, I think who was it said that football is the working man's game? But I think it's going away from that now with all this corporate law. And I don't think they think of you as fans, your football club anymore. I think they think of you as clients. Do you think it's the working man's game still, Robbie, before we go?
No, I mean, it should be, but not at the elite top level. Premier League, you're a customer. The Americans at Chelsea, I'm not keen on them, and I don't want to rant. We'll need another hour, but they are selling some packet where people can sit behind the dugout. They just want money. They don't want the fans there. They want your money, and that's why the atmospheres are bad. Whereas the other way around, I'm taking my boy to watch a game today on a local team here, where my Colombian mate plays for them, and he's excited about going to it because I mean, there's only going to be a few hundred people there. It is completely different. But the days of you got there, you had a couple of beers, a burger, you get in the ground with your dad and your uncles and stuff like I had, they're not there anymore. You know, you talk about people selling houses to go and watch games in the World Cup. So it's impossible.
And then probably get picked up by ICE at the airport and locked up for the year. With,
free flight home, I guess.
You know, you don't get that, mate. You don't even go to court. They can lock you up for a year without anyone saying it. Charlie, do you still think it's the working man's game, or it really has? Like, I mean, Roy Keane did it on the head in the 90s, didn't he? When he said, like, we've got no atmosphere at Old Trafford anymore because it's the prawn sandwich brigade.
Yeah, no, I mean, in terms of going to the game and stuff, it does feel, you know, they'll replace the real fans with corporate seats or, you know, what is it? Like, they'll just treat it like they'll travel, you know, travellers, won't it? They'll just kind of get all them in, anyone who's coming over to London from America or wherever else, and they'll get them in instead, unfortunately. Like, but, you know, look, as soon as, you know, most of these players are still coming from rough neighbourhoods and backgrounds and things like that. And so that kind of keeps it still working mentality, at least.
Yeah, I agree. I spoke to my grandson this week, and Ollie, and he said to me, Grandad, if we go down, he says, because he's a West Ham fan, he said, I'm going to start going. He said, I'll be able to afford to go. And I thought, what an indictment that is, that like he does want to go to football, but he can't afford to go. Do you know what I mean? I said, if we go down and you want to go, I said, I'll get you a season ticket. You know what I mean? He said, I'd go all the time, Grandad. You know what I mean? And it is sad that you can't get over there and get in for a fight. Obviously, get in for nothing. You know, like the old turnstile. You could bend down and your mate would pay one and you'd crawl under his leg or you'd jump the turnstiles, wouldn't you? And then once you got to know someone on the turnstile, there'd be three of you in the same turnstile and you paid to go in. Things you used to do at away games. Yeah, I used to love away games. I went everywhere. I was looking at places the other day when I looked at the leagues of all the places I've been. Some wonderful places. Do you know what I mean? And like some places in the country you'd never ever see. I used to try and go the night before and try and look round places and have a good look round. I see that Wrexham, by the way, I think they're opening to get into the playoffs. They're spending 90 million on a new stand. Them two American actors have bought into them and pumped loads of money in it. Their goal is definitely the Premier League, 100% the Premier League. And then we'll have, yet again, what did I say about the 14 who can change the rules? Another lot of American owners.
Yeah.
It is. Gentlemen, absolutely amazing. For some unknown reason, we've had nothing to talk about and we spoke for 52 minutes. Yeah, again, absolutely brilliant. Boys, have a great day. Guys, please write your comments. Please come on the show. We're gagging to have other people come on the show. We don't bite you. I know everyone's scared of Robbie, but like honestly, we are just really free working down loud. Have a great weekend.
Right, cheers, guys. Right, bye-bye.